All right, everybody. This is Nikitas Tsoukalis. I'm the president and owner of Key Credit Repair. I have here with me Paul Paquin from Golden Financial. He is our resident debt expert. Anything debt related goes to Paul. So today we're gonna have a little hangout, and we're gonna talk student loan debt. This for me is a huge thing because 9 out of 10 of my clients are coming to me. They have a student loan issue, and I usually just say call Paul, kind of like call Saul. Call Paul. So I want to talk a little bit about student loan debt and actually ask Paul a few questions, but a few things that I really don't know, things that I'm not an expert in, and I'd love to learn them and pass that information along to our viewers. So. Paul, thanks for coming on. Just to give you guys an idea.
Thank you for inviting me.
Paul is all the way in sunny San Diego, California, hence his amazing tan. You look great, man, like a millionaire. So you're awesome.
You too.
So let's talk student loans. What are the two types of student loans? That's the first question I want to find out. Or what are the types of student loans? Maybe there are more than two.
Yeah, private student loans, they originate through the bank. Like Chase, Bank of America, and then you have federal student loans, which originate from the Department of Education.
Is that also, like AKA Sallie Mae? Is that the same thing?
Well, Sallie Mae, actually, they have private Sallie Mae loans, but most of the student loans from Sallie Mae are federal. But Sallie Mae there's also private student loans with Sallie Mae, but most of them, again, are federal student loans. So, yeah, Sallie Mae can have private or federal.
Gotcha. All right. Take us through, and actually, I'll take you through a scenario, okay? Then I'll pass it along to you, and maybe you can tell our viewers what are the possibilities with a scenario like that. Well, let's do two of those, actually. So let's do a federal student loan. So I'll get a call. Client that needs some credit repair. They have some blemishes they're trying to clean up. They need some assistance. I look at the report. It's not really that type of scenario, but they have, $50,000 in federal student loans. The payments stink. They can't make them. It's just they're going through a rough patch. They don't have the 50 grand laying around. And I say, all right, call Paul, call Golden Financial. They're going to work with you. So you're on the phone with that person. Take us through a little brief scenario of what'll happen and what you can do with that 50 grand. What's possible?
Yeah. Well, yeah. First off, student loan debt, especially federal student loans, it's a bigger problem than credit card debt. And just to give you a statistic, credit card debt, there's approximately $890 billion of credit card debt circulating this country. And then as far as the student loans, there's over $1 trillion of student loan debt circulating the country. So it's just unbelievable how much student loan debt is out there. And the average credit card debt, it is a staggering amount. And the average credit card debt per household is about $15,000. Where with student loan debt, the average student loan debt is $32,000 per household.
Wow. Holy moly. And, just from a credit perspective, and from in my previous life, from a banking perspective, at least when you're underwriting credit card debt and approving people for credit card debt, there are some qualifications. You're qualifying people based, somewhat on credit, somewhat on income, where student loan debt, well, at least in the past, didn't really have a really good underwriting process. It was just like, hey, you're a student, here's some debt. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, pretty much. With private student loan debt, the loans are more complex. Let me first explain to you. So someone comes to me with $50,000 of federal student loans.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say they're 5 months behind on their payments. They're getting threatening phone calls that they're about to get their wages garnished.
Yep.
That's a common scenario. What we can do for them, the first step in a situation like that, because keep in mind the late fees, the interest, it's just adding up to what they owe. Their minimum payment, the payment is getting higher and higher. So the first thing we want to do is we want to request 90-day forbearance, where at least that buys them 90 days of no payments.
Call off
and
the
during
dogs.
that 90-day time frame, yes. And then during that 90-day time frame, we're going to get their loans consolidated, paid off in full, and then they're going to be left with one new consolidated payment. And there's about 6 different options available. But in a situation like that, these people most likely will have a hardship. So we're going to go for the hardship program, the hardship consolidation program. It's income-based. So
Okay.
they base it on 2 factors primarily. It's based on their income and it's based on their family size. The bigger their family size and the lower their income, the lower the new payment's going to be. The lower their new consolidated payment is going to be.
How low? How low have you seen a payment go? Or give me like a before and after, just for a payment.
Yeah. So usually in most circumstances, when the people have a hardship, the most popular payment plan is going to be a payment under $50 per month. So even with the $50,000 of debt, if their income is very, very low, there's not a set number because there's other factors involved. But I'm giving you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say that they lost their job and they have the only thing they're getting is unemployment. In a case like that, I can pretty much guarantee their payment is going to be, in most cases, under $50 per month.
Wow.
So let's say that we get them approved, we get their loans paid off, everything's paid in full, they get a new consolidated loan, we get them approved on the hardship program, their payment is, let's just say, $50 per month. And now they only have to make, usually it's 300 qualified payments. So they have to do 300 payments times $50 per month. That equals $15,000. So over the next 300 payments, they pay $50 per month. They pay $15,000 altogether. And then at that point, they're going to be eligible for what's called loan forgiveness, where literally the balance will be forgiven. So they could literally end up paying only $15,000 towards this $50,000 of debt, and the rest of it will be forgiven. And it's not going to hurt their credit. It's not like debt settlement. Where we settle it, it's actually going to be forgiven.
Wow, that's insane. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. You're not just going to be paying interest and fees until death. There is a way to get rid of this stuff. So you get in. Okay, that's cool. So one thing you and I talked about earlier, in a kind of a big problem, people are doing it. People are attempting to do this themselves. And then one of the booby traps, we'll call it, is one of the booby traps is the fact that, the renewal. They don't realize each year they have to renew, and then it starts to become tedious, where you guys can sort of automate that process, or at least do that follow-up for them so they don't have to deal with it, in a sense at least.
Yeah. I mean, our software is all so focused and set up. The alerts, everything's set up to be pretty much most of it's automated.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, this is what we do. So we're on top of it. We're making sure that everything gets done. All of the communication is being handled. We're communicating for them with the Department of Education, with the different loan servicers. If their income changes, we're going to get them switched over to the appropriate plan that's going to benefit to them. And the biggest problem I see when people do it on their own, besides that, they forget to do what they need to do each year, and now they're getting kicked out of the plan.
Well, I'm seeing that every day. Not to cut you off, I get it every day.
Yeah.
People are calling me, oh, my credit's fine, it's beautiful, it's perfect, but I don't know what happened. I was in the student loan repayment plan. All of a sudden I have 10 new lates. I don't know where they came from. And then I tell them, hey, call the servicer and find out what happened. And they call and they find out they had to do a renewal. They had no idea. And excuse the noise, by the way. There's an ambulance driving by our building here. So,
can't control that.
Viewers, we are in the heart of the city of Boston. It is absolutely loud here. So just, you got to deal with some of the background noise. Cool. So federal student loan, there is aid, there's relief. You can immediately call the dogs off, get them a quick 90-day grace period to get things together. I think that alone, that quick Band-Aid for people is going to be huge. Let's talk about the private student loans. because this is where I think a lot of people are lost. You can't just consolidate those, but for most people that have already fallen behind on this stuff, they can't pay them. This stuff is going to debt collectors, and there's something you can do even with the private stuff. Give us a quick example of the private stuff, what you would do if someone was already behind.
Well, these things are so complicated, these private student loans. I mean, they originate with the bank, okay? But then the bank doesn't even own these loans. I mean, they end up going into a trust, and in most cases, the trust is the one who owns these loans, and it's just complicated stuff. But long story short, when you fall behind on your private student loan payments, in about within usually 4 to 6 months, what's going to happen is the bank is going to end up writing it off, and they will then sell it to a third-party debt collection company. They will sell it, but they don't even own the loan. So, yeah, it's complicated stuff. But basically, what happens is they end up writing the debt off, selling it to a debt collection company, and sometimes they will sell these alleged debts for as low as 4 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
So if they're selling it for as low as 4 cents on the dollar, that will allow you to understand how they're able to get settled at 10, 20 cents on the dollar.
Can you guys do that for them? Do you have the jurisdiction to negotiate that? Is that something you can handle for them?
Yes, absolutely. We can settle these private student loans. We don't work in every state, but pretty much most of the states. We can settle these loans for the person. And,
awesome.
Of course, we'll be able to use our experience and our different methods that we've developed over the last 12 years to give them the best possible results. And the problem with settling debt is it will most of the time leave negative marks on your credit, which in that case, we would normally refer the clients over to your company because I don't know how you work your magic, but you do a great job at it. So in a case where there are negative marks.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, just in terms of the negative marks, I've had some people that are so scared to settle a debt because they're worried about the negative market's going to leave. At that point, though, and this is more to the viewers than anything, at that point you have to realize that the debt is already in default. You've taken the maximum credit impact you could be taking. At that point, once it's in collections, that debt each month is typically transmitting some sort of key derogatory mark into the bureaus. Every single month, that account is bleeding out all over your credit report. When you settle it, although it doesn't necessarily remove the previous negative history, you've stopped the bleeding. Okay? The analogy I use is if you're bleeding and you don't stop the bleeding because you're worried about a scar, that's nuts.
Yeah, right? I like that.
Maybe there's some plastic surgery we can do later, but if we don't stop the bleeding, at least as a step one, there's nothing. We're going to be dead soon, and the credit's going to be dead very, very soon.
I like that.
So even from a credit perspective, if we can stop the bleeding, well, shoot, we have something to build off of at least, Scars aren't bad sometimes, too. They look pretty cool, but so, all right, so someone could get these things settled. They've fallen behind. There is hope, especially if the debts get thrown to a collection agency and they bought it for cents on the dollar. Let me ask you, someone owes $50,000 in debt. You turn around, you get it settled for 10, 20, even 25. Let's say half. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do they have to have the money ready to go? Is there a way to structure a repayment to them, like a structured plan where they can pay back the $20,000 in payments, or do they have to have it all in one shot?
Yeah. No, with debt settlement program, we can set it up so that they make one payment each month. It goes into the trust account. Money will accumulate, and as money accumulates, we will attack one of the debts at a time, one debt at a time. It's very unlikely. It's unlikely for the creditors to issue a lawsuit. They'd rather settle. It's obviously more profitable to them to actually settle with the client rather than suing them. However, if a lawsuit does arise, if they decide to issue the person a summons and proceed forward, with legal action, at that point, we would get one of our negotiators that specialize in settling the summons accounts and we would try to settle the summons before the court case in order to resolve it and not have any issues that alter the program results. So even in that case, worst case scenario, if they tried to sue the client, we would simply settle it before the court case. And 9 out of 10 times, that's going to work out successfully for the client.
I gotcha. This is really good information because these are the scenarios that we're seeing every single day.
Yeah.
Again, we're usually saying call Golden Financial, call Paul's team. It's nice to get kind of what's going on in the background. This is awesome, Paul. Question: someone wants to come and find you guys directly. They're not just a referral of ours, but they're viewing this online on YouTube or Uvu or Facebook. How can they find Golden Financial? How can they find your team?
You can go to we have two websites. The one website is nomorecreditcards.com, and that's No More Credit Cards with an S. Yeah. And then if you click on Debt Relief Blog, there's all types of interesting and helpful articles in the blog, similar to what we're talking about today, that just provides, helpful information.
I'll make a note of this. This is good stuff.
And of course, you can call in at the main number, 866-376-9846.
Beautiful. I'll make a note so we can post this on YouTube. What is the main site? Is it Golden FS or Golden Financial?
So it's www.goldenfs, that stands for Financial Services, so goldenfs.org.
Beautiful. How about a phone number? Do you have a direct line that you'd like to leave the viewers, or an office line that people can call and speak to a rep?
Yes, of course. The direct local number would be 858-605-6196.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, guys, Paul Paquin with Golden Financial. Paul, thank you very much for coming on this. I know your office is going nuts right now. It's busy. It's busy here too, but this is information everyone's asking me, so I figure let's get it out to everyone. So thank you so much for doing this. And if anyone has any additional questions, feel free to go to Paul's site or to give his office a call. He's got an amazing team there. They're knowledgeable. They know the ins and outs of debt better than anyone I've ever worked with, hence why he's got all our referrals. And have a great day, everyone. See ya.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.